Okay.
Hey,
I'm gonna have to leave early.
hey. Okay. We'll see how it works.
I'm gonna have to quietly get that.
Okay, look, let me say good morning because I do want to get started because there are a number of speakers and I know people's got a busy schedule today. I want to kind of let you know who's standing or who's representing, who's here today. Of course, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Congressman Al Green will be on his way, representative from Judge Lena Hidalgo's office. You cannot hear me? Okay, and then the Organization for EL is present, LULAC, Houston Area Urban League, the Houston LGBT Chamber of Commerce, the LGBT Caucus, the Asian Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Houston Black Chamber, AFL-CIO, the Fifth Ward Super Neighborhood, and then, of course, we'll have a number of elected officials who are present. Councilmember Tiffany Thomas, I see, and there will be others that will be joining. Councilmember Abby Kamen is already here. HESP, Impact Fifth Ward Justice, the Fifth Ward Super Neighborhood, the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Houston, the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce, the Texas African Chamber of Commerce, and the American Morocco Business Council, the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce, and the Japan America Society of Houston. And there'll be a number of others. Oh, and Houston NAACP is present as well. Look, let me just say this. Since President Trump was sworn in about 11 days ago, he has already signed 41 executive orders, which is more than half of the 77 executive orders President Biden signed during his 4 years as president. Through his executive orders, he has stopped work by the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. He has rescinded the order by President Biden to lower the cost of prescription drugs. He has withdrawn the United States from the World Health Organization and the Paris Agreement dealing with climate, and the list goes on. These extreme and divisive executive orders do nothing to lower the cost of everyday items like eggs, milk, healthcare, housing, or insurance. We do not have time to go through all of these executive orders, but I do want to focus our attention on two of the most discriminatory and divisive ones: diversity, equity, and inclusion, and DEI, and immigration and deportation. On so many levels, these two areas overlap. Jagdeep, please come and join us. Trump, through the mere stroke of a pen, is attempting to further divide this country by race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, you name it, whether he has or does not have the legal authority to do so. One of his first actions as president was rescinding a 1965 executive order signed by President Lyndon Baines Johnson, creating equal business and employment opportunities for women and people of color. Rescinding this order is a direct attack on the fundamental principles of equality and justice. The executive order signed by President Johnson was issued during the height of the civil rights movement, just 2 years after Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, and a year after the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It forbade discrimination in procurement, contracting, hiring, and training. That order by Johnson stood for 60 years and was recognized by 5 Republican presidents until Trump, in his second term, struck it down. He has ordered an end to all programs, initiative, hiring, contracting, departments, and positions related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thousands of federal employees run the risk of losing their jobs. These anti-DEI orders are not just political props, but will directly endanger our most vulnerable communities and make us all less safe. There is now real fear that the EPA will be forced to stop its investigation into the greater Fifth Ward Cashmere Garden cancer cluster caused by an old rail yard that used a toxic wood preservative containing creosote, and dioxin has been found, which has poisoned the soil and caused sickness and death to the people who live there. Trump has also taken an unprecedented step of pausing all litigation at the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, which is tasked with enforcing laws prohibiting discrimination based on race, gender, religion, and national origin. And if that were not enough, yesterday, just yesterday, he attributed the American airline and helicopter crash in D.C. to diversity, equity, and inclusion. For the president, blaming people of color, women, people with disabilities, the LGBTQIA and trans community is just a scapegoat when things don't go the way he would like them to go. And so instead of lowering the cost for everyday Americans, we are now dealing with even in a more divisive community. Trump has signed 8 right-wing immigration orders that do nothing actually to address and fix our immigration system. They make for good theater, but they don't solve our immigration problem. Trump signed an EO to end birthright citizenship for children born in the United States, un-American and unconstitutional. These mass raids are extreme measures intended to create terror and fear for our communities, even among immigrants who are lawfully here and are United States citizens. Trump is deliberately using fear and chaos to scare people, which is why he's now targeting schools, houses of worship, and hospitals. ICE and others are not just rounding up persons who have committed crimes, but law-abiding citizens as well. Dreamers, construction workers, and farmers are scared, and Americans will pay more for housing and food. Remember this, immigrants make up 40% of the construction industry. 60% of the people who harvest our crops are foreign born. The cost of food could jump by at least 10 to 20%. I don't think that is what people voted for, but make no mistake, that is what they are going to get under this administration. But it's important for you to hear from people and organizations who are on the ground, living in our city, in our neighborhoods and communities. I think in large part, Congresswoman Garcia and Congressman Green, people pretty much know where we stand, but it's important for them to know where other people stand. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to call first on Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia for her remarks, followed by Congressman Green, and then there will be another number of other speakers that will follow. Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia.
Thank you, Congressman, and isn't it great to be able to call him Congressman after all these years? And you know, it's great because you see the three of us here. We're not just united on this issue. We're united on all the issues that are better for working families across America, better for the average senior and those healthcare costs that are going up, better for those of us who are still trying to pay rent or buy a house, better for those of us that are trying to make sure we can put food on the table, because we have to. And what we've got to do together also is to fight back. That's what we're here today, to demonstrate that what he does in the White House, and it's easy for him, he's at the White House, then he gets on his plane, goes to Mar-a-Lago, he's got everything he wants, right? But he needs to worry about every single one of you like we do, because the things that he's doing have serious consequences for just everyday people. It's not just about his billionaire buddies. It should be about the working people that make America what it is. And part of that group, of course, are immigrants. As the congressman said, it's about the farm workers who pick the grapes, who pick the lettuce, who pick the tomatoes, who pick the avocado to make sure we can put it on our table. It's about the construction workers who build the houses to make sure that maybe we can live there, buy that house, rent that house. It's about just families trying to survive. And the scariest part, I had a town hall, they were both there this week, talking about people making sure people know their rights. And I can tell you, you could feel the fear, the anxiety, and the tension because people are afraid. Because before we were afraid, but now we're more afraid because he pulled back the orders to not go to safe places like churches, pastors, churches, but now they can. Hospitals, when people go to the hospital or a clinic just to go treat themselves or their children. Schools. We're hearing more and more people just scared about going to school to drop off the kids or to pick them up. Yeah, when we can't take our kids to school safely, we have enough trouble worrying about school shootings. Right. Now we're going to layer on there ICE picking you up. And let me tell you, any of us could be picked up. Because the real question is, nobody knows unless you ask whether or not you're a United States citizen. He said on Hannity's show that he can just look at you. He can just look at you and know whether you're an illegal.
Wow.
Now, isn't that ludicrous? Nobody knows that. Look around you. This is a very diverse group. But unless you look like the ICE officer, they can profile you and they can pick you up. And trust me, some of them will ask questions later. That's un-American. That is old, Gestapo Nazi tactics. Because remember, all immigrants don't look like me. They don't look like you. I mean, who do they look like? They're coming from all over the world. We know that here in Houston. We've got 122 languages spoken at Houston ISD. We've got more consulates here represented from different countries next to Manhattan because they've got the UN. Just think about it, y'all. Your friend could be stopped. Your neighbor, the parents of your child's playmates, because kids don't care. Kids just want to have fun. They don't care who you are, as long as you treat them right. And that's what we all need, to be treated right. So I brought with me in English and Spanish some of our cards that say, in just a little card that you can even fold and put in your pocket, that you can carry, that tells you what your rights are, because you do have rights as an immigrant. Anyone who's here is covered by constitutional rights. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump says on his executive order. That's just an order from him. It's not law. So he can say, well, I want to do away with birthright citizenship, but the Constitution says every person born in the United States is a citizen of the United States and of the state that they reside. So Donald Trump can't undo the Constitution with his pen. He just can't. So people have rights. There's a few here, and my team has some more in the back. I encourage all of you to take some, get some, make sure people know what they can and can't do. And as we move along, trust me, there will be more orders. This freeze, he's withdrawn it and done this and that. It'll come back in some shape, and we got to be ready. But there's been already one conservative Reagan-appointed judge who's told him that his executive order on birthright citizenship is blatantly unconstitutional. One court has already blocked and has an injunction on the freeze, and that's still being litigated. So trust me, we're going to Washington and we're going to fight back. We're going to work with all our allies nationally to make sure that on all of these issues, if they're unconstitutional, we'll go to the courts. If it's a question of whether it's what we call in Congress, the struggle over the power of the purse, who gets to decide the spending, we're going to be in that fight. And we're going to need you all there with us because without you, we know we can't do our job. So thank you for that. And now I yield to my colleague and friend of many years. I think we both began to know each other when we were both judges, and I'm not going to tell anybody I was a better judge than you. I'm just kidding. But my friend, Jean Green, Al Green, sorry. I was thinking of other days.
Well, thank you very much. And please allow me to thank Congressman and Congressional Member Sylvester Turner for what he's doing today. Would you join me in doing so? As I take off my coat, I'm going to ask my press secretary to pass out our press release, please. We have a press release that we'd like to share with you. This says something that's important because of what the president has done. It says that I am woke. And it says that Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Now, before someone gets the wrong idea and assumes that I have abandoned other lives, not so. I have been there. I have been there when Latino issues have been in question. I have been there when Asian issues have been in question. I have been there when women have been under fire. And I want us all to be there when Black Lives Matter and Black lives are under fire. We've got to do this. And here's why. Yesterday, the President of the United States of America exhibited characteristics of a pathological, insidious prevaricator. A pathological, insidious prevaricator. I never call people a liar. My mother did. My mother would say he exhibited characteristics of a pathological liar. I'm not going to dispute my mother, but I am going to tell you this. For him to conclude, before the black boxes were found, before there was any empirical evidence, for him to conclude that this was something associated with DEI, there's something wrong with him. This is not DEI. We don't know what it is. The pilot of one of the planes, I'm told, is a person of a different hue from me. How can you conclude without evidence that this is about DEI? Now let's get down to the root cause of the root cause. Here it is. The president issued an executive order on January 22nd, 2025. This executive order requires the Secretary of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administrator to stop DEI hiring. Now, yesterday, you remember now, the president made some statements about competency, complex issues, brains, talked about intellectual problems. This has been the language used against black people. That's right. It has been said that we weren't competent. That's right. In fact, black players couldn't play quarterback in the NFL because it was said they didn't have the ability to play quarterback. They weren't smart enough to play quarterback. That's true. He mentioned incompetency. There were many times when black people could not get jobs because they were said that they were incompetent. He mentioned brains. It has been said that black people just didn't have the intellectual capacity to do certain things just because they were black people. Now, that's why I have this shirt on. I am not going to say to anybody that Latino lives don't matter, because they do. And Asian lives matter too. All lives matter. But when you do this and you refer to these buzzwords, you're talking about black people. And black people have got to stand, and Asian people and Latino people, we all have to stand together. This is not a fight that we can win siloed.
That's right.
I can't fight over here just for you, for somebody, and you can't fight over there for somebody else.
That's right.
All of the somebodies have got to come together and represent everybody. This is an everybody fight, and everybody's got to be in it, and we got to be in it together. Now, let me say just a few words about Latinos. It's important. There's a press conference going on right now. I regret that I'm not there. We have these two press, we called ours, the mayor called his, excuse me, Mayor. The congressman called his, and I told him I'd be here. I'd be here. And so I had to honor this commitment that I'm going to try to drive across. You know, Mayor, I wish you had those flashing lights. Remember, the mayor could go across town in minutes with those flashing lights. We got to get us some flashing lights. But let me say this, I've got to go over there. And here's why. We cannot allow Latino babies to come home.
That's right.
And their parents are not there. We can, and this is a possibility, it's a reality, it has happened. Latino babies in school, Congresswoman Garcia tried to get HISD to come to the meeting. They would not show. Wow. HISD has to explain what its policy is going to be. Those babies have to be cared for. If their parents are not at home, they've got to make arrangements to care for Latino babies and any other babies when they know that their parents are not at home. The Asian community. This president is opposing family reunification. Family reunification, something that we have honored in this country, I think, since the inception, keeping families together. Asian people have come here, they have been a part of this society, they've done good work, and they want to bring families in, and families are locked out. I'm trying to get a man who has family members in Afghanistan into the country right now. I'm trying to get a man who was taken out of the arms of his children and sent across the border, get him back right now. We've got to stand together. And finally, on standing together, Mayor, this is my final closing. I'm becoming a Baptist preacher, closing 3 times. But Bishop got an amen over there, huh? All right, but here's the final thing, dear friends. This is important. This president has no guardrails.
That's right.
The Supreme Court removed guardrails.
That's right.
The Senate has become his, I don't want to say lapdogs, so I'm going to say his acolytes. Strike lapdogs from the record. The Senate and the House, they are minions. The Republicans won't stand up to him. And if the Republicans won't stand up to him, and if the Senate won't stand up to him, that only leaves us. We are it. We've got to stand up to him. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to follow through on it. I believe that the kind of racism and hate emanating from the presidency in policy, I believe that it is impeachable.
I agree.
I believe it's impeachable. And you will hear more about that in the weeks to follow. I thank you all, and I look forward to serving you. And let us stand together, because if we don't, we may not stand at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me say that I've given a great deal of grace to the congresspersons. But for the rest, within 3 minutes, okay? 2 to 3 minutes, because it's important for people to hear from the organizations who are impacted by these executive orders. Now, let me first start out with Hanny Khalil, representing AFL-CIO.
Thank you, Congressman. Hanny Khalil, Executive Director of the Texas Gulf Coast AFL-CIO. I'm joined by our president, Lacey Wolf, and a number of unions. And so let me just, if you could, please raise your hand. We have members and leaders of the Teachers Union, the Insulators Union, the Seafarers Union, Bus Drivers Union, HESP, Service Employees Union, and there. And did I miss anyone? The Painters Union.
AFSCME, Local 1550.
And AFSCME is represented as well. And I say that because this is, I want you all to see, this is the labor movement. This is us. This is the workforce. And right now, working people in the United States are under attack.
That's right.
The executive orders President Trump has signed over the last 11 days amount to an unprecedented attack on essential public servants, immigrant workers, and federal services that will harm our country and our economy. Trump and extremist Republican leaders are propagating incredibly divisive rhetoric about immigrants, people of color, LGBTs, women, and most recently, those with disabilities, to stoke fear and division. But working people know that our fellow workers are not the problem. The real threat is billionaires like Trump and Elon Musk, who seek to distract and divide us so they can seize even more power and make ever greater profits off of our labor. Let's talk about the federal employees in Trump's gun sites. Who are they? They're the people who care for our veterans at Veterans Affairs Centers just down the road. They make sure that retired workers get their Social Security and disability checks. They protect our airports and our passengers. They inspect our food and ensure it's safe to eat. They help survivors of disasters get the support they need to rebuild, including right here in Houston many, many times. So driving out hundreds of thousands of experienced, hardworking, and skilled workers who make up our federal government, and then replacing them with a skeleton crew of inexperienced political loyalists who will only do Trump's bidding, what is that going to do? It's going to deny Americans access to essential government services that they depend on and that our economy needs to be able to run effectively. Immigrants under attack. Deporting immigrants whose labor helps our country prosper and cutting off pathways into the United States that my family benefited from is not only a betrayal of our values, it is also a recipe for economic disaster. So the bottom line, these workers that Trump and friends want to blame don't stand between you and me and a good job or public safety. Billionaires like Elon Musk, they do. And joining together as workers and unions is how working people stand up to bosses. It's how we hold greedy corporations accountable. It's how we build an economy that works for all of us. So the labor movement is here today to stand proudly in solidarity with the millions of valued members of our workforce and our communities and our unions who are being targeted by these executive orders. And as we say in the labor movement, an injury to one is an injury to all. So here is where we stand. The labor movement will not allow these attacks to go forward without a fight. Our unions will fight to defend and preserve fundamental rights for all working families, including access to education and healthcare and birthright citizenship protections enshrined in our Constitution. We will join community allies, as we are doing today, to counter Trump's unfair and unconstitutional attacks so that together we can ensure all of us, and I mean all of us, have access to a good job and can continue to build an economy that works for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Hanny. Let me call up now Tammy Wallace with the Houston LGBT Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Thank you, Congressman Turner, for the opportunity to be with you and speaking out against this egregious impacts of these executive orders. My name is Tammy Wallace, and I'm a co-founder, president, and CEO of the Greater Houston LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce. At the Greater Houston LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce, you know what we're focused on? That is helping small businesses grow and thrive. That's exactly what we intended on doing with our day-long small business summit that we in fact hosted yesterday. On Monday night, just this week, with less than 48 hours notice, we were notified that we could not host our event at the Federal Reserve Bank due to President Trump's executive order. We had 120 people registered to attend this event. Our team had to scramble and use valuable time and resources to move the event, which was not easy considering the scope and the logistics. This is the impact of President Trump's executive order, undermining an event that's focused on small businesses and impacting those entrepreneurs who are working hard every day to grow their businesses. From small to large businesses, DEI drives small business success, from profitability to innovation and creativity to talent attraction and retention. We know when diverse businesses succeed in this country, we all succeed, all of us. An inclusive economy means an economy that works for all Americans.
That's right.
Make no mistake, these executive orders undermine businesses and our economy. These executive orders target and attempt to erase diverse and marginalized communities like the LGBTQ+ community. I assure you, we will not be erased. We will not be erased. We will stand with our colleagues, we will stand with diverse communities, and because we are a vital part of the economic fabric of our country. Our economy needs diverse businesses and a diverse pool of talent to thrive. We don't need division. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon with the Houston NAACP.
Thank you, Congressman Sylvester Turner, for having us today. Can we give the Congressman another hand, please? We appreciate you so very much. And to our congressional reps, of course, Congressman Green and Congresswoman Garcia in her absence, and all our elected officials on every level. I saw Commissioner Rodney Ellis, who was in for a few moments as well. All of us are here today combining our influence, our intellect, and our commitment to empower our community to take a stand and to say that in the midst of this atrocious misrepresentation of presidential authority, we shall not be moved. That, if you're from church, you know that song. We shall not be moved. It's very important for us to recognize the fact that fear is imagined outcomes that have not occurred. And this president and his regime are stoking fear in order to paralyze us, neutralize us, and cause us not to act. I want to commend our congressional delegation and other elected officials for making sure we know they are in the fight, will be in the fight, and we want them to know we are with you in the fight all the way to the end. The issues have been enumerated numerous times: the attack on DEI, the attack on the EEOC, the attack on immigration policies, and others. And I won't rehearse the litany of those 41 executive orders, but we will say this. It must be recognized that this is an attack on human rights. It's an attack on civil rights. And I want to focus in on the attack on children's rights.
That's right.
Because we must speak up for the children. All of us are affected by this, and it's very important for us to recognize that we need all churches in the fight.
That's right.
We need all mosques in the fight.
That's right.
We need all the temples in the fight.
Yes.
All of us don't have to agree on everything.
Yes.
But one thing we do agree on is what's been spoken by our colleagues today, that everyone has a right to work, to provide for their families, to develop their businesses. And let's remember this, that DEI is an outgrowth from affirmative action.
That's right.
And DEI came after the murder of George Floyd.
That's right.
That rebirthed that conversation. I want us to remember that that's very important, because when you see a backlash against DEI, it's saying that the country really didn't mean it.
That's right.
When we made those positive steps forward.
That's right.
I want to call today, Congressman, not on Congressman Trump to change. I think that's a futile conversation.
That's right.
But I want to call on the Americans who understand that human rights and civil rights and children's rights affects all of us.
That's right.
Where are the pastors? Where are the leaders who understand that fundamentally these policies are against human rights? This is inhumane. It's not only insane, it's inhumane. Finally, we must challenge businesses and others who support these policies.
That's right.
The Houston NAACP is joining forces with others. We're planning a forum for next Thursday night. We've got colleagues coming in. We're going to organize ourselves in the strongest possible ways to say we're going to support those who support us. The way you fight this is you empower those who empower you and disempower those who do not. Remember this. Our late friend Al Edwards coined this phrase, and I borrowed it from him. We've only been a few laws between us and the plantation.
That's right.
There were only a few laws between us and the plantation. I've been saying that, repeating his words for the last 20 plus years. And people didn't think that it could ever be the case.
Yes.
And here we are today.
Here we are today.
The few laws that were between black people and the plantation are now leaving the books. Understand that your car, your degree, your hair, your color, your height will not keep you from the plantation. There were a few laws between us and the plantation. And we've got to stand today to say we are not going back to the plantation. We are going forward and we are going to fight for what is right. That's the end of the story.
Thank you, Bishop. Now let me call on Barbara Joe with the Asian Chamber of Commerce.
Have to go after you.
Oh, you're more than capable.
Thank you, Congressman. My name is Barbara Joe, and I'm with the Asian Chamber of Commerce here in Houston. The Asian Chamber of Commerce strongly opposes recent efforts to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, which play a crucial role in ensuring economic opportunities for Asian Americans and Pacific Islander business owners and entrepreneurs. DEI initiatives are not just about fairness, they help level the playing field, foster innovation, and contribute to the economic prosperity of our communities. As of May 2024, there were more than 3 million AAPI-owned businesses across the United States, generating billions in revenues and creating millions of jobs. In Texas alone, Asian-owned businesses make up 14% of all employer firms, employing over 539,000 people and contributing more than $20.7 billion in payroll. These businesses span diverse industries, from technology and healthcare to education and entrepreneurship, and have consistently outpaced non-minority owned businesses in growth and economic impact. Despite these successes, many AAPI business owners, particularly small and sole proprietorships, continue to face financial and structural barriers. Eliminating DEI programs threaten to widen these disparities, making it harder for AAPI entrepreneurs to access capital, government contracts, and other critical resources. The Asian Chamber of Commerce remains committed to advocating for policies that empower AAPI business owners and strengthen the economic fabrics of our communities. We urge policymakers to recognize the immense contributions of AAPI businesses and to support initiatives that foster inclusivity, equity, and sustainable economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Joetta Stevenson with the Fifth Ward Super Neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, Congressman, and I'm going to struggle with not calling you Mr. Mayor, you know that. I come from the historic Fifth Ward, And as I was standing over on the side and I was listening to these excellent speakers talking about how ridiculous, why we're here today because of some ridiculous act of the person who should be the most powerful person in the world, but have shown us just how small he truly, truly is. My community is known for a nationally known cancer cluster. We have people that are currently dying in my community, have already died, and we're talking adults, we're talking children. We had a meeting last night, a nonprofit in the area held a meeting and they asked for people to come and speak as panelists. And I was one of them, but I want to remark on one of the panelists, which was a scientist out of the Environmental Defense Fund. And she was speaking about the different chemicals that are in our soil right now, carcinogens, toxic chemicals. And they ranged from a safe level of 52 times above a safe level to in the 200s times above the safe level. And we have a president that wants to play with the money, play with our money. That's taxpayer money that he is holding from us. That's well-earned money. And it was earned not only from the rich, that taxpayer money came from the poor too, the working class poor. So I stand here, I'm not gonna be long, but I'm gonna stand here that we will never stop fighting. We will never bow down because we've been through a lot already. So guess what? We ain't gonna walk away from this fight. So he needs to rethink or come up with thinking or whatever he needs to do. And he needs to let go of that money and stop using sorry excuses that he needs to look at everything because basically he doesn't like the color of the skin of the people that this money is helping. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And before Charlene Johnson, before you leave, I got to fill out some others. But I do want to acknowledge these elected officials, especially at the state level, because we have to work in direct concert with them. So I want to acknowledge them. Representative Charlene Johnson from District 139, Armando Wally, District 140, Laurie Simmons, 146, all state reps, Carolyn Evans Shabazz, District D, Abby Kamen was here from District C, Tiffany Thomas from District F in the A-Leaf area. Have I left out any others? I do want to thank them because they're at City Council every week. They're in Austin Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday. And for them to take the time to be here, I really appreciate them. So let me just say this. Why don't you three come together and just, because we need each other in this fight.
I'm State Representative Armando Wally. I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues. Just a couple points. We have great, bright new colleagues that I hope to mentor and steer them right, but they're probably going to steer me right. I've been reading the book about LBJ, Robert Caro's life and ascendancy as a young boy into the presidency and how he got there. And there were forces in the 1950s and the 1960s when he was the majority leader of the U.S. Senate. And those forces were strong because he did not initially have a history in the civil rights movement. He was forced to do some things that that probably at some point used his skill to pass the first 1957 Civil Rights Act. That led to the 1960s Civil Rights Act, but it took people like you, people that look like us, that look like you, to force his hand, okay? And there were powerful forces that they wanted to maintain the status quo. And one of the quotes that is embedded in my mind when he's fighting back some of these folks, because he ultimately caved and did what he needed to do, what the hell is a presidency for? If you cannot use the presidency to do good.
That's right. That's right.
What we have now, and I'm a man of faith, Christian Catholic, and we all have a saying that You don't hate the sinner, you hate the sin.
Come on.
But I got a problem right now. I have a problem with people who are not speaking up.
That's right.
That's right.
I have a, that's why I'm so proud to be here with you, Mayor, Congressman, with my colleagues, because I want you to imagine the federal and state government works well together, right?
That's right.
I want you to think about a hungry child in our neighborhoods, in Fifth Ward, in Cy-Fair, in A-Leaf, or even in Acres Homes, or in West Texas, or East Texas, or Third Ward, or Sunnyside, that goes to bed hungry.
That's right. That's right.
That goes to bed hungry, but for those the SNAP benefits and the food benefits that they get at school.
That's right. That's right.
Those are the type of programs that he's trying to freeze. Those are the programs that he's trying to freeze. So I just want to say, we have to stand up.
That's right.
We can't sit idly by. We are one people. We are the American people. And we must stand together. And I'm proud to be with my two colleagues. God bless you.
Yes, I just want to say I'm Shirley Ward Johnson. Diversity, equity, and inclusion does not mean the unqualified. We are asking for equal opportunities. That's what we are asking for. But you have a president that sees the word Black Hawk helicopter, and he thought that meant DEI. But we stand here together to fight for our rights, to fight for equal opportunities for all. Thank you.
All right, thank
Hey, y'all, I'm Lauren Ashley Simmons, State Rep for House District 146, and I just have to echo what my colleague said. And let me tell y'all, look around this room. This is what Texas looks like. This is what America looks like. And this is the benefit that diversity brings you. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around talking about DEI means unqualified when we're watching Senate confirmation hearings for people who ain't ever held the title, the job, and have no experience. And they sit there just as confidently answering questions like they know what they're talking about. So again, this is what Texas looks like. And y'all, we know what this is about. This is meant to discombobulate us. It's meant to get us emotional. It's meant to be cruel. And we have to stay clear, keep our eyes toward God, and remember who we are and whom's we are.
That's right.
If God can do it once, he can do it again. He brought us through before, and he'll bring us through again, whether we were put on those boats by force or we came here seeking a better life. This is our country. This is our state, and we're not going down without a fight. And to the public, I hear you. I see you. We've received calls in all of our offices. We read the emails. We're standing 10 toes down, like the kids say. We're standing on business, and we are fighting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sasa Espinosa with you. Followed by Justin Roberts.
It's been a tough, I thought it was a couple of weeks. It's been a tough 11 days. And when people ask me, how do y'all keep going? We remember a saying that says, if they come for one of us, they come for all of us. As a young man, and thanks to the wisdom of Alain, I read a book that was called The Warmth of Other Suns. And that book shaped me in my organizing and in my thought process, because it talks about people migrating from the south to the north, seeking better opportunities, safety, and a better life. But it wasn't talking about immigrants as we see them today. It was talking about slaves moving from the south to the north, looking for a better life, looking for safety. And when one of those things, in one of those chapters at the beginning of the book, it talks about a woman who says, I got dressed in my Sunday finest and I took a picture in front of a car that wasn't even mine to show my family that I had made it. And guess what? My family has a picture like that. My family is the American story. And part of the reason why we are where we are now is because there are those people who are actively seeking to hide that story, to not talk about that story, and are repeating that same history. Part of what was said this week from the ICE director himself was he said, oh boy, we had a tough time in Chicago, rounding people up. And when they asked him why, he said, because too many people knew their rights. They are expecting for us to stay uneducated. They are expecting for us to not get together. They are expecting for us to fight one another.
That's right.
But we are here. And I am so proud to be here because Houston is what the United States is going to look like very, very soon. And what happens here and the leadership that we present here is what's going to move the needle for a better America, for a more inclusive America, for an America where life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice and happiness is honored. I was undocumented for 33 years in Houston. For 33 years. So when people told me, get in line, I was like, what line?
Right.
And I was undocumented in Houston for 33 years, and it was terrible, and it was scary. But you know what kept me going? The fact that I could not travel anywhere else. But in Houston, I felt the world come to me because of our diversity, because of all the beautiful people that I've met here.
That's right.
And so to everybody, I say, stand strong, stand together, and together we will prevail. And I'll just say something quickly in Spanish because I think it's important that people know. Es importante que nos unamos todos en este momento. Le agradecemos al congresista Sylvester Turner, le agradecemos a nuestro amigo Al Green, que por mucho tiempo han peleado por nuestras comunidades. Y ahorita no es el tiempo de división, ahorita es el tiempo de hacer nuestra historia juntos y no ver en las cosas que nos separan, pero en las cosas que nos unen. We must look at the things that unite us, not at the things that separate us. And together we will prevail. While they bring hate, we bring hope.
That's right.
Justin Robinson, Houston area Relief.
Mayor, Congressman, leader, servant leader, pastor.
Hold on, Doc.
Look who surrounds us, y'all. Look who these people are. Look who they represent. I'm so proud to be a president, one of 90 plus affiliates throughout the country that represent the National Urban League. The National Urban League has been around since the turn of the century, during that great migration that Mr. Espinoza talked about. When people, the migrants, moved from the southern states, Jim Crow, poverty, lack of education, to opportunity in the north, where people were willing to grow their businesses, willing to help someone become trained so they could do the work, willing to show you where you could get your education, your health care, your housing. People came together, and we made a better country because of it. And as mentioned, it doesn't take but a few pen strokes to move the needle back. I remember, Brother Sharp, your dad and mine, walking the streets of Pleasantville, talking about diversity being important, because it was important that people had a chance to see things through a different lens, that brought greater strength to the organizations that they chose to aspire to. When he ran for city council in 1970 and was elected, it was because white people and black people and brown people and gay people and straight people came together because they believed that we were stronger as a union when we had more vision about what this country needed to be and what this city needed to be back in 1970. And we had one black employee at the city of Houston. Imagine that. Some 50 some odd years ago, just one. That nowadays, when you talk about a black man running for mayor, we don't even think twice about it.
Right.
It can be done because it's been done before. And they're capable, they're competent, they can do the work. We have great leadership. So don't falsify the truth. Don't make up stuff. Don't villainize words. Don't make woke, which was about Black awareness.
Awareness.
That's right. Don't demonize it. Don't play games. And people, let us not fail. Let us not fall for the tricks of the Trumps. Let us come together. Let us work together. Our organizations, Bishop Dixon, are working at the highest levels together. And so many others, ACLU and so many others. And as you mentioned, you will start to see the plans of response start to unfold. Your leadership is here to support you, but we cannot do it without you. Let us stand together. Let us push back against the tides of evil and make sure that America is great again.
Thank you. Look, a couple more and we'll be done with the speakers. Is Dr. Atkins here with the Great Houston Black Chamber? Oh, come on, why don't you come up? And what about Austin Davis Ruiz? Yes, with the call. Austin is here. Okay. Dr. Atkins.
Hi. Thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Dr. Ashley Atkins. I was just announced as the CEO and president of the Great Houston Black Chamber last night. At our annual meeting, the Chamber is back. We are ready to support Black businesses. We are ready to support Black young professionals in the workplace. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of events planned to ensure that our businesses are getting the contracting opportunities that they deserve, getting the grants that they deserve, and getting the training that they deserve. And so we would love the community support, you all support. Thank you for joining us last night. I'm Representative Al Green. If you guys have any questions about the Chamber, if you would like to know more about the Chamber, please call our office, visit our office. We're in the McConnell and Jones building. We share our office with them. If you guys, I'll be here at the end of this event. If you guys have any questions on how you can support the Chamber, partner with the Chamber, join the Chamber, I'm here to help. We're here to help. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to say thank you to you all for hosting this event. It's a really important conversation that needs to be had. Thank you all.
Thank you. Austin with the LGBT caucus.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
My name is Austin Davis Ruiz. I'm the current president of the Houston LGBTQ+ Political Caucus. We're the oldest LGBTQ+ civil rights organization in the South, having been around since 1975. I'm a native Houstonian, proud Latino, proud member of the LGBTQ+ community. And for years now, the LGBTQ+ community has been sounding the alarm in terms of attacks on our community, specifically on the trans and non-binary community. In the last few years, we've seen rights restricted for gender-affirming care for trans youth. Parents in this state of trans youth have been investigated for simply trying to do right by their children, trying to give them the healthcare that they need, the life-saving healthcare that they need. And now we see attacks continued upon not just our community, not just the LGBTQ community, but on all minority communities, on women, on Latinos, on the Black community, the Asian American community, on all communities. And so now is the moment that we have to stand together.
Right.
I am reminded that last week was International Holocaust Remembrance Day, a day where we honor, right, the lives that we lost in the Holocaust. And I'm reminded of a poem that started about, at first they came for, right? Mm-hmm. And I did not speak up because I was not a part of that group. And then they came for another group. Right. And I did not speak up because I wasn't part of that group. That's right. And then they came for me. Right. And there was no one left to speak out for me. Now is the moment where we cannot disengage. I know it's very overwhelming, and that is the point. That is the whole purpose of all of these executive orders, of this attack on DEI, attack on immigrants, right? But we cannot relent. As our former President Biden, former Vice President Harris said, now is the time where we have to lean into that fight and stay stronger now more than ever. So thank you, Congressman, for the opportunity. Please, let's continue to fight.
Thank you. All right. And is Stephanie Loving with the Great Houston Women's Chamber here? Okay. Councilmember Shabazz, I see you with your phone.
Oh, you want me to call you?
No.
You know I will. Thank you, Congressman. You know, do not be beguiled. This, as my state rep said, this is intentional chaos and is doing just what it is intended to do. It is designed to bombard and boggle the rational mind and lower our cognitive resistance. Fortunately, I still have real common sense for the common good. I can still think, I can still stand, I can still run, but most importantly, I can march. And it is time. We must be focused and intentional. I hope I never hear the words again, why should I vote? The problem in Texas is that our state leadership is in lockstep with these executive orders.
Yes, they are.
I guess God says, I can show you why you need to vote better than I can tell you. It's time to stop playing these divisive racial games.
That's right.
Where the Latinos are against the blacks and just so on and so forth. It's time to stand.
Yeah.
Because there won't be anybody left
That's right.
to march.
That's right.
And so we must come together. It is time.
Amen.
Thank you, Congressman.
All right. And then just so we don't, you tell us which group you're with today. You can just do it from that here. That's fine.
Yes, sir.
Northeast Houston Redevelopment Council, Super Neighborhood 48, Trinity Houston Gardens.
Okay.
Visionary Outreach.
Gentlemen,
Joseph Wallace Seafarers International Union.
got you. Anyone? Isaiah?
I'm just Isaiah.
Crockett was seeing this care. Anyone else? I know.
Tanya Davis with Aldine, AFT 06345.
Excellent.
Independent Heights, Greater Houston Baptist Pastors and Ministers of Zion.
Thank you.
Right here.
Yes, Jackie.
Super Neighborhood United and Super Neighborhood 47, East Hillsdale Homestead, Northeast Houston.
Northeast.
All right.
Communication workers.
Thank you very much. Anybody? Thank you.
Jennifer Hernandez, IUPAT, International Union Painters and Allied Trades.
Thank you.
Crystal Timbers Community Organization, Texas Organizing Project. Acres on Chamber for Business and Economic Development.
Excellent.
Achieving community tasks, successful acts out of government.
Thank you. Okay. Look, let me thank all of you. Are there any questions right quick? I know it has, yes, sir.
Well, quick question, because the community right now is really scared.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna come to you. Anyone from the media right quick? Okay, yeah, go on. My bad. My bad.
The people in the community right now are really scared. And you talked about the Black and Brown community, but how about the I talked to people in the Haitian community, I talked to people in the Caribbean community, and they're being deported left and right now. Right. People are being deported back to places where they never lived before, even to Nicaragua and El Salvador. A lot of these people have never lived there, but they're being deported. And the basis of this the deportation was, we're going to start with criminals. I have not seen that many criminals being deported. I've been seeing families being deported. Can you address that, especially
No, they need to hear you.
Especially dealing with not just the Black and Brown community here in Houston, but also the Caribbean and the Haitian community.
And we're talking about immigrants across the board. Whether you're from Haiti, whether you're from the Dominican Republic, you name it. I think what you'll find is some bipartisan support if you're talking about deporting people with serious criminal backgrounds or committed serious criminal crimes, so to speak. But what is happening is that the president is deporting law-abiding citizens.
That's right.
People who have not committed any crimes.
That's right.
People who are here under what we call the DPS, a protective order to bring them here. And they've come here legally. A lot of these people are also being deported. And so it makes, so when they talk about our priority of people who committed serious crimes. That's not true. Okay? You got a guy in Chicago who had been in this country for 30 years, a grandfather, no previous problems. They picked him up as well. So you have these incidents that are occurring. It makes for great theater to put people on a military plane and send them back. Okay, so it's great theater, but at the end of the day, it is an attack on everyone. As Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia said, who can you look at and say that this person is here illegally? Okay, so that's a bogus argument. And then on top of that, it's not driving down the cost of food or your mortgage or your rent. It's not doing any of that. So that's why it's so important that we stand as one. Diversity, equity, inclusion, immigration rights, all overlap. And it's important for us to speak to it and provide the education and people's rights. I don't apologize for this conference being as long as it has been today, because the issues are so important. Right. And it takes time to disseminate information. And one of the problems that we're facing, we want things quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay? Just like the president. The crash takes place, DEI calls the crash. Give me a break. I thought you speak some language, but give me a break. Okay, so it is important for us to take the time. Where is my poster? No, my other one. Give me my Trump poster. Now I want you to take a look. Yeah, I want you to take a look first. Let me bring it down. I want you to take a look at the people who are standing here. We represent America. Okay? We represent America. And the president would probably classify us all as DEI. Yeah. But we represent America. This is his America. Because when you look at the air traffic controllers, on average, 80% are white and primarily male. Okay? So who are you talking about? But this is his America. And this America doesn't exist. This is your America. And it's real.
I'd like to appreciate the question as the mayor has, as the congressman has, as the state representative has. I'd like to appreciate it. And let me just share this. You're eminently correct. We can leave no one behind. We may not say every name every time, but we can leave no one behind. Right. And to this end, I want to speak up and stand up for the trans community. Too many of us are afraid to stand with the trans community. These are human beings just like the rest of us. Just like the rest of us. Please, that's right. Bishop Dixon said human rights. This is true. And Congressman Turner has talked about how we have to be inclusive, and this is true. So when we start to think about the many people who are not here, let's make sure that we include the trans community too. And I know the mayor would do it. I know the state representative would do it. I know the congressman would do it. One of these days I'll be able to just say congressman, but it's just hard. But I know he does. And I want to commend him, if I may close with this. I want to commend him. Friends, no one has come to Congress more prepared than Sylvester Turner. No one. I'm not going through his entire pedigree, But here's the thing that I admire people. People who are willing to fight even if they lose. Too many of us will only fight if we can win.
We only know to win.
Yes, we gotta have victory assured before we'll take a stand. On some issues, and I've seen him do it, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, sir.
One more question. I want to know what's being done. Do you have any plans about I've been hearing about stop and seizures and ICE and sheriff's departments stopping people and having roadblocks, especially off I-10 and Highway 6.
I think in all of our offices, we're distributing toolkits on what people need to know. When people approach them at their home, knock on their doors, when they are stopped, even if they're detained. I know Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Congressman Green, myself, and others, and we'll be distributing that throughout the city and throughout our congressional districts. But people need to know their rights. If somebody's knocking on your door, you don't have to open the door. You don't have to say anything to them, okay? It is important to carry, for example, ID, whether it's a library card, if you're in school, student identification card, but don't carry false documents because that will create a problem, okay? But it's important for people to know their rights. Now, I'm not aware, and Cecily, maybe you can speak to this, I'm not aware of any mass raids in Houston. There have been some individual sort of stops, but I'm not aware of any mass raids. That's not to say that it won't happen, but it is important to know your rights when they do happen. We do encourage people, parents, take your kids to school. Don't keep your kids out of school. If you are sick, don't stay away from the hospital. Go to the hospital, okay? Go to church, go to your place of worship. But go to work, okay? But we want people to know that we are here to stand with you to help you get through this. But fear is our enemy. And quite frankly, that's a part of what they want, okay? Anything else before we
just wanted to touch?
Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to touch briefly on that. Yes, from right now, we've heard of people being picked up in targeted operations, like where they go. But unfortunately, they are taking what they're calling collateral damage. So if folks don't know their rights, if folks do speak to them, then they also get picked up, unfortunately. What we do caution the community, and we've been talking a lot about this today, is to not spread mass panic when there's rumors, because there's also bad actors out there purposely putting wrong information on social media so that to scare other people from coming to Know Your Rights Forum, from coming to press conference, of things like that. So that unfortunately it is an element that we're dealing with. Now, earlier they were talking about how we take action. There is a march this weekend that's being organized organically by Houstonians, saying that they're going to stand up for the rights, and it's at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and we encourage folks to visit Fiel Houston for more information on that.
Okay, I wish you go, but I got to cut it off. I do want to make an announcement. One of our champions, strong community worker, Tanya DeBose, in Independent Heights, Sugarwood area, passed earlier this morning. And if you know Tanya was always on the front line. I've had the privilege of working with her for decades in Independent Heights. But she passed away this morning. And before we leave, just a moment of silence for Tanya DeBose. Thank you. And that is why it is so important for us to do what we can while we can.
That's right.
And to give it everything that we have. Martin Luther King said, the moment we start to die is the moment we remain silent on those things that matter. Okay? So it's important for us to use our voice, to raise our voice, not stand silent, not be intimidated, and be proud of who we are. I'm just concerned for our kids when they are constantly hearing that diversity, equity, and inclusion is bad. And they're hearing it from the person in the White House. It's important for people of color and children of color to know that they have value, that they are important, that they are not secondary citizens. Don't even get it in their minds. And the people who can speak to that are people that are like standing before us here. They need to know who they are, whatever their orientation may be, that they are important. They're important. And we have to fight for them. So having said that, thank you so very much. The fight continues today, tomorrow, and then. Thank you. I like that shirt.
Amazed this morning.